to do, to keep on paying taxpayers' money, to keep on going into a project that is not benefiting Ugandans. Who is eating that money, that escrow money? Who is eating it? Is it Umeme? Is there any connivance between Umeme and some government sectors that are covering up? Those are some of the things that we want to know.
State Minister for Energy Simon Dujang, who was appearing before the committee with a team of experts, said he is not aware of the circumstances under which the money disappeared.
I cannot answer that now because I don't have the details.
The major signatories, actually the signatories is Umeme, and therefore they withdraw at their own will. Nobody is bothering.
Under the agreement, the signatories, who are government and the energy distribution firm Umeme, have to ensure that the escrow account has at least $20 million as a minimum balance.
To the amount to actually breach of contract, because supposing now, because we haven't yet terminated the contract as of now, but supposing the other party came up, would now be actually answerable legally if there is no funding on the other account.
If you are supposed to maintain $20 million on the account and you are telling us that the account is completely zero, nothing, then you have breached the contract. And for us, then that means that actually if you have breached the contract that you signed with government, you pack your things and go away.
They have been operating while causing losses to the taxpayer through high tariffs and the high losses that are both commercial and technical. And I think this one also will add on the resolution of Parliament to put more pressure on Umeme to become open and clean on how they operate and how they have been using money.
The escrow account, which was established in 2005 under an agreement between Umeme and the government, is where government deposits money to cater for electricity bills accumulated by government institutions. The agreement authorizes Umeme to withdraw money from the escrow account if government ministries and departments accumulate electricity bills. MPs were, however, baffled and vexed over why an escrow account was established for Umeme, yet government institutions receive a vote annually to cater for their utility bills. Lawmakers have now given the minister 2 weeks to provide Parliament with a comprehensive answer. Agnes Nandutu, NTV, Parliament.
The Ministry of Education has distanced itself from a commitment made by the government to increase teachers' salaries by 25% in the next financial year. Tasked to explain the 450 billion shillings allocated towards increasing civil servant salaries, Jessica Lupo, the Minister of Education, said the teachers' salaries were the responsibility of the Ministry of Public Service. She spoke before the Parliamentary Committee on Education yesterday.
The government is destined for a legal battle with teachers if Kalungu West MP Joseph Sewungu's threats are anything to go by. Sewungu, a renowned activist for teachers, says he will drag government to court if the 25% salary increment is not effected in the next financial year.
I am going to court and I will file a suit against the government, and I will wait for Nyombi Peter to fail as he has always failed to manage me. But these people are misleading and they are lying. There is no willingness to increase teachers' salaries.
This was after the Minister of Education officials were put on the spotlight to explain the salary increment for teachers in the next financial year.
Tell us exactly what the teachers have, because we need it. We need to know. It's like you're hiding something.
The ministry has, however, shifted the responsibility to the Ministry of Public Service.
Allocation, what scale, and so on. The Ministry of Education wouldn't be competent enough. I would rather we leave this Ministry of Public Service.
Ministry of Public Service, so that they can help us to identify out of these resources exactly how much we require for 25%.
It should be them to give the proposal to the Ministry of Public Service, and should be indicated and should be reflected within their policy statement.
However, in a separate interview after the meeting, Arupo made a commitment to ensure that the promise made to the teachers is kept.
The teachers will be given the 25% salary increment.
The Ministry of Finance has earmarked 450 billion shillings next financial year for salary increment for all civil servants. However, it remains unclear what portion of this money belongs to the teachers. The Ministry of Education is in dire need of 23 billion shillings to step up the capitation grant from 7,000 shillings to 10,000 shillings, recommended by Parliament to educate a UPE child per year.
Now, when you reduce and you are not providing for solutions, that means you have totally failed. Why are you reducing? You see, this is why we are playing their politics.
That money was recently cut from 7,000 to 6,800 by the Minister of Finance.
Why it is now less is because the numbers of children in those schools has increased. So I think it's misleading to say that finance has cut the money. Finance has not cut the money. Only that finance has not fixed the gap which has now been created by the additional number of learners.
Meanwhile, the overall allocation to the education sector is said to decline by 54 billion shillings from the previous 1.7 trillion shillings. Jingo Francis, NTV, Parliament.
Geologists from the National Environment Management Authority have ominously warned that areas with flat and mountainous terrain could be ravaged by landslides, thunderstorms, hailstorms and floods. Addressing journalists at NEMA offices, a weather expert, Dr. Festo Bagora, said people in these areas are at risk of being swept away or buried by landslides.
Although rains are relief to the farmers, especially after ravaging dry spells, weather experts warning that this season's heavy downpour could be devastating as a result of continued environmental degradation.
According to geologists, the rainy season is yet to reach its peak this month.
Amongst the storms we are going to receive in the remaining April and May, have a few which are extra, which occur probably only once in 10 years. So,
among the looming catastrophes are lightning strikes, which according to statistics have killed 190 people since 2007. According to NEMA projections, all regions are prone to lightning except Karamoja.
If you don't have lightning arrestor, please don't move around in the house. It is good even to wear rubber, shoes. Don't talk on telephone because that's electricity during that time. Don't put on a radio, please, because that is again electricity.
Environmental experts also warn the communities living in the rugged Mount Elgon slopes in the districts of Bududa, Bulamu, and Kapchorwa that will experience windy and destructive thunderstorms alongside landslides and flooding in the low-lying areas.
When it rains today and tomorrow you see a cloud again, don't sleep in that house. I mean, this is local knowledge. Move out of that house, go somewhere else, until the supersaturated water in the soil begins to drain out.
Improvement on weather forecast. Now, these are also areas where we need to do more. A storm comes, people are sleeping. They could have not have been told that there would be a storm like Utaleja. People are asleep.
With fickle weather patterns, environmentalists say that the situation could worsen considering the high rate of deforestation recorded. According to statistics, Mayuge district has lost all its forest cover, followed by Wachiso, which has lost 86.7%, Mubende 79%, Mitiana 59.6%, and Chibali 48.9%. Experts say that it is cheaper to protect the environment than to manage disasters. Sudil Biarhanga, NTV.
And that's what we had for you in today's morning bulletin. We now turn over to Brian and today's press review.
Is brought to you by Uganda Telecom. It's all about you.
A very good morning to you, ladies and gentlemen. Again, we apologize for the technicalities that we had earlier, but very huge kudos to our technical team that have worked around the clock to make sure that we are back. And of course, thanks for joining us for this press review, proudly powered by Uganda Telecom, where it's all about you. Brian and Joel Senyonyi, looking dapper as usual.
Looking dapper.
So where do you get this Dakaba? Where do you get these ties? Always match with the hanky and.
You see, Ugandans have mastered the art of trade. They bring suits, they bring clothes from literally everywhere. You find them all over the place in town. Trying to look smart, Muna. If you can't do other things, at least try and look smart. If I'm not yet married, sure. You don't want me to be like you. So let me look smart so that I might cross over to the promised land.
Okay, what egg will walk?
An egg will walk.
Yeah. Well, this morning, of course, we're trying to get in touch with Simon, who is away in Jinja. A couple of you were in Jinja last week and visited ESCOM and saw how our power is generated, but he's obviously also off. He must have been the one who spoiled our things, really. So, tumsavide.
You'll be fine.
The headline in the Daily Monitor, Makerere lecturers hold students' results over pay. Is this a surprise? Once again, they are back at it. When will Makerere...
And here they say the exam results that are supposed to be released 3 weeks into the semester have been withheld by part-time lecturers in a dispute by the university that the university blames on poor communication among departments. But you see, this is very much cuts across many government departments, of course, public universities. I don't know why we find it very difficult to pay people for work that they have done. It's just not right, you know. And many times they say, you see, technicalities and so on. Apparently, you're trying to change the system and that kind of thing. These things, why were they not envisaged at the start? It's just not right.
Should we just focus on just the pay? Is there a bigger problem at not just the pay? As students actually broke, they can't pay. That's why they are introducing stringent policies like 60%. You can't go in class unless you've paid that 60%. Is there a need to overhaul the whole system?
I tend to believe it's just not Makerere University. It's an issue with our country. Our systems are broken down when it comes to how organized, or in this case, disorganized
we are.
are.
The same things in other universities, for example.
Yeah, because they are private. Because they are private, they run things the right way. Because they're private investors, let's call them that. You know, they've got to have economic sense out of. The way government, unfortunately, seems to do things in a very disorganized manner, like cluster mode of operation, it's just not right. We need to build our systems right to make sure that they work, you know. The other day I was following up something with a certain government office, and somebody had gone on leave and things were not moving. I don't know whether they had gone with their office, and that seems to happen literally everywhere. It is wrong.
Where does a student, Joel, who pays his school fees and tuition and has registered, probably the parent has ended up selling cows and land to pay, and then a lecturer is holding their results?
Of course, at this point, we want to blame the lecturers whenever they say we are laying down our tools, we are not going to teach, and we see that happening even with primary school teachers. They are threatening again. It's very convenient to blame them, but you see, I mean, what do you want them to do, for example? They are not paid, they probably cannot make it to their workstations, they've got family